Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. This time, we're going to take a look at some Silver Age goodness. Some adventure comics, a whole bunch of adventure comics from Gold Key Comics, all from the 60s. And with one exception, these are all licensed products, licensed characters. So, here we are, going to take a look at some classic Gold Key adventures. So, let's take a look. And here we are. This is the point I was before when somebody called me and ruined my video. So I had to start all over again. And so we're starting off with The Phantom by Lee Falk. This is from 64, and the two that I have are 12 centers, so they're from that era. There's great painted covers, and I don't know who is doing the interior art. I've seen his stuff before. Of course, is imitating Lee Falk's style somewhat, and I think he later also did some Phantom work on when it was later done by Charlton and or King Features. Yeah, Gold Key had the license to the Phantom in the 60s. I don't know how many issues they had. I think I have one, maybe two others from that era. I'm not sure. Most of what I have is from the Charlton era, and some from King Features itself. Because in the a little later in the 60s, for about 2 years, King Features, who was newspaper syndicate, and they would syndicate comic strips, and they decided to publish their own comic books, new original material based on their properties in the comics. They did The Phantom, Prince Valiant, Flash Gordon, and Mandrake the Magician, the ones that I know of, to my knowledge. But this is just The Phantom. And then, of course, later, Charlton Comics had The Phantom, and had all. I don't think they ever did Mandrake the Magician, but they had all three of those others for a time. Okay, so especially The Phantom and Prince Valiant. I'm in correction, and Flash Gordon. So, what issue was this? This is issue number 9. Okay. And here we have. This looks like they both look like George Wilson paintings for the covers. Some great action adventure stuff. Some real nice artwork. This is number 17 from 66. Okay. And then we move to Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea from the Irwin Allen TV series, with the photo box up here in the corner featuring David Hedison as Captain Crane. Again, a nice George Wilson painted cover. Lots of action adventures, and of course, they had some really silly concepts sometimes, just like they did with Star Trek. But still, with this beautiful artwork by Alberto Giolitti, and this is kind of silly. It's a undersea safari, and they're all dressed like for the African savannah with bears and stuff, all just in some kind of scuba gear. It's that part is really kind of silly. Even their submersible looks like an old style Land Rover and stuff, but it's beating drums have beaters, and it's just funny. But it's some really nice stuff. Then what issue was this one? This was number 5 from 1966. And here's another one, which this is one, and I think this is a Mo Golub cover. And if not, it was somebody else, but definitely is not George Wilson from the looks of it. Again, David Hedison. And this is number 7. And this is one that I did a deep dive into once already. But it's a great Alberto Giolitti art. Oh, I wanted to show you the back cover. Had a photograph pinup of Captain Crane and Admiral Nelson. Ooh, Admiral Nelson, a relative of mine. And then there's that Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea with pinup of the cover painting as a pinup, without all the text except saying it's a pinup. But this is unusual in that it is a line drawn cover. Maybe it was rushed or something, and they couldn't get painted cover in time or something. I don't know. There's, of course, photo box, Richard Basehart, David Hedison. And this is in some real rough shape. This is an unusual one because something happens to the sea view and it starts turning into a fish with the men inside and starts doing its own stuff. Still, Alberto Giolitti, great art, who also did all the Star Trek stuff. Now this one is actually not Gold Key. This is Dell, but I include it because I'm showing the other Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. This is so rough, it is literally disintegrating. I had to tape the cover on because it's disintegrating. This is from 1961, Dell, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, the adaptation of the original Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea movie with Walter Pidgeon as Admiral Nelson. And with interior art by Sam Glanzman. And it's just an adaptation of, it was a one-shot type thing, adaptation of the movie. Then here we have, another Irwin Allen property. This is The Time Tunnel. This was from, I just looked and I forgot, from 66, was it? And they never, 1966. And I know the artist's work, but I don't know his name. And of course, The Time Tunnel, where they, two guys had a secret scientific project of going through time, and there's a tunnel through time, but they get lost. And of course, then photo cover here, photo box here with several of the actors, including suddenly can't think of her name. She was Lee Merriweather, who was in an episode of Star Trek. And she played Catwoman in the Batman 1966 Batman movie. And photo pinup on the back cover. And then yet another Irwin Allen property, The Land of the Giants. And this is, I think, issue number 3. I don't know. They only had a few issues. This is number 3. Just a few issues. Of course, Land of the Giants, where they had the astronauts, and this is all photo cover. All the characters here, and then scenes from the show. 15 cents. This was, what was it, 68? I think this was 68. 69. 69. The show lasted 2 seasons, and can still catch it in reruns on TV. And at least one of these actors was also in an episode of Star Trek. And this is my stuff. Nice artwork. And I think it's the same artist who did the Time Tunnel. Ads on the back cover now. Had to do ads, and that's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Oh, and here we have it. No more, not an Irwin Allen. The Invaders, again from the '60s. Big photo cover with what the heck is his name? I suddenly can't think of his name. 1967 from the TV series. The photo insert there. The Orbit of Doom. This looks like might be Dan Spiegel. Yeah, I think it's Dan Spiegel. Yeah, I'm doing the art on this one because he did a lot of this kind of stuff and he was good at it. And I can't. It's an unusual name, the actor, and I just suddenly can't think of it. And again, still available on TV in reruns. Then we go, The Men from U.N.C.L.E. This is 12 center photo cover with Napoleon Solo and Ilya Kuryakin. That's United Network Command for Law and Enforcement. Again, some decent artwork, and Jet Dream, backup story in the middle. It was that, and she was an original character, but I think this is Jose Delbo doing this one. I have just a couple other Man from U.N.C.L.E. Books, and they normally had photo covers like this. What year was it? 66? 66. Issue number 9. And and of course the TV show was very popular, and it was so popular it had a spin-off, The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. Yeah, also from 1967. This was issue number 3, 1967. I did a deep dive into another issue of The Girl from U.N.C.L.E. That's when I had people tell me, "Oh, I didn't even know they had a Girl from U.N.C.L.E." And it only lasted 1 season, whereas the Man from U.N.C.L.E. was 4 seasons. And again, photo cover. And, April Dancer was her name. And Stephanie Powers played the Girl from U.N.C.L.E. Photo back cover. Then we go to, here's our one book that is not a licensed property to the best of my knowledge, because it's the only place I've seen or heard of it. And a great George Wilson painted cover. It says John Steele, Secret Agent. This is issue number 1. And I don't know if they ever had any more or not. I don't think I've ever seen any more. Issue number 1 from, again, this is probably, 12 cents, 64, I think it was. Yes, 1964. And again, with some great interior art by Alberto Giolitti. Some really nice stuff. Some fun, because at this time, secret agents were so popular. And, they had the Man from U.N.C.L.E. on TV. This is probably before they picked up the license and wanted their own. And of course, then had that caused the popularity of the spy movies and books and stuff, and like the James Bond stuff, gave rise to the Man from U.N.C.L.E. And of course, they had I Spy, and even the spy parody of Get Smart, and everybody wanted a piece of that. And of course, that gave rise to Marvel's Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And all those. Oh, here we go. Aha! Fantastic Voyage. Now, the main reason this is not a painted cover, but a line drawing, is because this is based on the Hanna-Barbera Fantastic Voyage animated series, which was based on the 1968 Academy Award-winning science fiction film Fantastic Voyage, which my wife and I just watched last week. Oh, it was a great movie, and I loved the show. it was I knew the animated show for years before I ever got to see the movie. And this is from 1969, issue number 1. Ooh, I don't know how many issues they did, with interior art by Paul Norris, who was also about this time also doing Tarzan for Gold Key. And it does a real crack-up job, right on model, but his own style still shows through. Then we go to another one that most people probably have not heard of. This is, again, a number 1, and it may very well be the only issue. It's the only one I've ever seen or heard of. Is issue 1 of G8 and his Battle Aces. Now, this is not an original character, as one might think. It's great painted cover. This is from, what was it, 60... 66. Okay, because G8 was a hero and had a lot of books of G8 from the pulp era in the 1930s, and he was a World War I spy type flyer, and against all kinds of weird and unusual menaces to fight against in World War I. Was before, and of course in the 60s there was a big boom in paperback from paperback publishers reissuing a lot of the some of the pulp characters, and had a few issues of G8 at that time. It was primarily like Doc Savage, the Avenger, and at the same time it had Conan the Barbarian and Tarzan had their big boom in the books again as well. And again, an artist whose art style I am familiar with, but I do not know his name. Some nice, good fun. And, yes, here we have painted the front cover as on the back cover as a pinup. Then we go to some really rough stuff. Okay, and this is the two books here that have no covers, unfortunately, because they were so worn. And I had got this new, and I read it so much and so many times, and I think this is an issue number 1, and of the Microbots, and this has got Jack Sparling art in it. And this is a story. To my knowledge, this is the only issue that it's the only one I have ever seen, and I've seldom even seen this one with the cover. It had a painted cover on it, but it was a licensed property from a series of toys called the Microbots, which didn't last very long. And they were this bunch of super powerful little tiny robots, and all the robots that in the story were from the toy line, and then everything around it was all the rest of the story was original, with original characters and stuff, not from the toy line. Had something about disaster and post-apocalyptic. A scientist and his son kept in suspended animation until they come out thousands of years in the future, and Earth and the survivors are popping up again, and they're back. The survivors are basically living in the Stone Age, with all kinds of mutated menaces, a little like the Mighty Samson, and but the scientist and his son, and then reactivates the robots, and they seek to rejuvenate society and technology and stuff. Then another one, again, I wish I had a cover, says the Herculoids. No, it's not the Herculoids. It is Hanna-Barbera Super TV Heroes number 1. No cover, unfortunately. I did a deep dive into a different issue of this, and of course it's got the Herculoids. I love the Herculoids. Well, it looks like some Russ Manning, of course, imitating Alex Toth, Or it might have been one of his assistants, like Mike Royer, whose style was similar to Russ Manning's. And here, then we have young Samson and Goliath. That was always a cute one, and I'm not sure who did the art on that one. And I liked that because I remember watching all these. I just wish that they had, instead of doing one comic with all these characters crammed into little short stories, if they'd had individual issues for each of these characters. Then Birdman, Birdman again, with again Russ Manning or similar art. But it really looks like Russ Manning, but it might have been someone like Mike Royer. I'm not sure. Has that kind of style. The same goes for the Mitor. I always liked Mitor too. I liked all these were when cartoons were good. Saturday morning cartoons, and they were good. And Moby Dick, Danger in the Deep. This is, I think, by Dan Spiegel, and imitating the animated style at the time. And so that is all I've got this time around for some 60s Silver Age Gold Key adventure comics. Ooh, some real good fun stuff. All, but as I said, all licensed properties except for the one. And they're all good fun. So thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. And do leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of these books. Which ones do you like? Which ones have you seen before or read before, or are familiar with? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, comics are art.